Introducing the all-new Backsaver Swing Hopper Auger Mover. Backsavers have interchangeable parts which allows you easy access to move or swing your augers to fit your harvesting needs. Get yours today at Norwood Sales.
Our weed of the week is cattail, and you know, with these cattails, Darren, they're perennial weeds. How are we going to get them under control?
Well, first of all, you have to look at where we see cattails, and it's almost always in wetter parts of fields. So it's areas where we've got drainage issues that, you know, we just can't drive the sprayer down in there and take care of them in many cases. So, you know, with cattails, if we could just get rid of that water, Brian, that could be a big help.
Well, if you want to go out there and spray a herbicide, the best thing that we have found on our own farm is using a very high rate, the highest labeled rate of Roundup with as little water as possible. We want to have a very concentrated droplet, and it's the same with any weed that's got a very waxy leaf like cattails do. With waxy leaves, if you get a little bit of water on there, you're probably okay, but if you start getting too much, then everything just runs off. So that's why we have to have that very concentrated droplet of Roundup. Then the other step is, like Darren said, drainage. So if you have an area that's not designated as a wetland by NRCS, and you can go in there and put some tile in and lower your water table, that's a great step forward. If you can have improved drainage, now you can get in there and farm your crops every year, and generally speaking, the crops are going to choke out the cattails if the crops have good growing conditions.
Well, we saw some examples this year where there were fields that went prevent plant in the northern part of the U.S. that had been planted end to end for years and years. We just had a huge deluge of water this spring. And you know what? Out in some of those fields that had never had a cattail ever, now there's a cattail popping up here and there just because that field has been pretty much underwater all year. Now this is farm ground. This isn't a wetland, and out of 20 years, maybe it'd be wet once. And in those cases, you know, when you're going through in the field situation, yeah, taking care of cattails is important. A couple of the products though I'd like to mention too, Brian, would be like Pursuit and Raptor. We've had fairly decent luck if we spray early in the season to wipe out some smaller cattails, whether it's using Beyond in wheat or using Pursuit or Raptor in soybeans or alfalfa.
Well, again, I think that the most important thing is to have good drainage out there. When you have that, generally speaking, your crop will choke out cattails. And if you can do any tillage or anything like that, that will certainly reduce your problems with cattails. Now, if you've got a major cattail problem, obviously before you can do any drainage, you have to have NRCS come out and make sure it's not a wetland out there. But we do have options to control cattails if you can get in there and stop them.
Well, that's all the time we have for our Weed of the Week, but there's more Ag PhD to come after this.